Greetings to you, friends, in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Today we are going to continue with our series Hope in the Wilderness as we try to bring hope to our families in this 21st century. Now we want to look at the topic absent husbands, or let's say absent fathers and rebellious wives. Now, if we look, if we understand last lecture, we looked at the relationship between a husband and a wife. So, and we promised that today we zero in Ephesians chapter 5. That's what we are going to do today. Because if you look at what is happening in the world, as people are drifting away from the idea of marriage, which we said is not our idea, it is God's idea that people should live married and procreate in the confinement of marriage. But as people are drifting away slowly, there are negative concepts about marriage. As they are drifting away, we are seeing a lot of crimes being committed, a lot of sin, a lot of incurable diseases, cancers, everything that we can name. So we said if we go back to the ideal, to God's ideal, God help us, our families, even in this crisis, God can still, His grace is sufficient for us. Even if we look at what is happening in the world statistically, so if we look at research, so it shows that if children are not raised with both parents, there are a lot of things that happens. For example, these children can perform less in schools, there will be emotional effects. They say a child raised by a single parent twice is likely to have mental illnesses, twice likely to have alcohol, twice likely to have suicide attempts, especially in our moderately poor to very poor families, because look, most of the world's population lives below poverty line, especially in our African continent and African countries now. Even you look at this, if the family, if you are going to be a single parent in early stages of life, you are likely to want a partner, whether marriage or just partnership in staying together. Children are not going to likely to accept the new guests coming in, the blended family. There are a lot of things that will happen there. Also, there's a research that it can permanently even alter the brain structure of children, especially the absence of the father in the family. They say those who grew up with fathers, they are affected in the frontal lobe, which actually deals with the societal issues. That's why they end up in substance abuses, alcohol abuses, and all sorts of things. Also, children growing up under such circumstances may end up developing pessimistic ideas about relationships, and hence as a result, our world is gravitating slowly, because of this pessimistic perception, negative perceptions. People are choosing to be single now. We know people can be single by divorce, people can be single by death, the death of a spouse, but because of the kind of concepts infusing in this generation, people are slowly gravitating towards even likely to be single on their own. In these families, children are likely to mature early. Because look, we have got a mother only, she's struggling. We talk to poor families, though the same things are happening in rich families. This is statistics. Girl child matures early, carries burdens of the family, teenage pregnancies, all those things. Does not necessarily mean that there are no positives, but we are looking at this. There are no positives in single families. Well, some can say, I raised a daughter alone. No, it's okay, but we are looking this in the context of the great controversy, in the context of waiting for the second coming of Jesus, in the context of righteousness. Even in normal families also, if they are abusive, children are also going to end up doing all those things. Now, but we are saying we must get back to God's ideal. Marriage is God designed. That's how we must have our children in that context. We reduce these issues when we zero in God's design. Now, I'm not here to look at really the structures of family. I might give details in these issues, but today I want to look at Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21, 22, 23, as we promised. Let me read it now. In your hearing, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 21 says, submitting yourselves to one another in the fear of the Lord. That's verse 21, chapter 5 of Ephesians. Verse 22 says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. You must underline that. Verse 23 says, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body. Verse 24, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Underline that also. Verse 25 says, husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Verse 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. 27, that he might present it to himself unto himself a glorious church, not having spot or a wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it. I want you to underline the word cherish there, because we'll come to it. Even as the Lord to the church. 31, for this cause man shall leave his father and mother and shall be joined unto his wife, and the two shall be one flesh. Verse 32 says, this is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Now, we were saying, we looked at other scriptures also that explain the same issue of headship concept, the same issue of submission, the same issue. But we just said, let's zero in Ephesians chapter 5 as we really wrap up this issue of the relationship between husbands and wives. Because in Ephesians, there are two ways that we want to look at. Number one is wives submit. In this generation, in this world, where there are rights, where there are equal rights, we tend to view the word submission in a pessimistic manner or in a negative manner. Because even our dictionaries, if you are going to look at the word submission, it seems it's one yielding his will or a will to somebody. In other words, there's an issue of suppression, there's an issue of oppression, there's an issue of abuse, if we can put it in that way. But let's look at submission, biblical submission, as Paul is writing it. Biblical submission, I believe, is not reticence. It does not mean you are inferior. It does not mean servanthood. It does not mean you are resigned, or you are docile, or you are weaker. Rather, it's an attitude that a wife should have, an attitude of respect, that I choose to highly esteem, I choose to reverence, I choose to put my husband in this position because the Lord says so. Even when we come, because we know in our families, issues come, conflicts come, problems come, but submission is a wife chooses to say, when I resolve conflict with my husband, I choose to use these words. I choose to use, even if I'm angry, I choose to use respectful words. I choose not to be confrontational. I choose not to demean. I choose not to resist my husband's will. That does not mean that the man must have his own way. Even one time, we must have what we must agree is we must agree, because we are now one flesh. So no one will have his own way, but I choose to put this one on this position. So it does not mean that the man is dominating here, or it does not mean that the women does not have an opinion. Actually, if you look at from Genesis, when God created Adam and then comes Eve, Eve was given a job description. Before even bearing of children, she was said she's a helper meet for Adam. So how do you become a helper when you don't give your opinion? Actually, not giving your opinion is a sin, because her role was to give an opinion, suggest, contribute meaningfully, not contribute meaningfully towards the development of that family that was put in Eden, and towards even the development of the church. So meaningful contribution. But submission means I choose to meaningfully contribute while my husband is on his position. I choose to suggest while my husband is on his position. I choose to air my views. Even also husbands, they air views, they suggest, they give opinion. It's not that they come with this right thing, but let's leave that one submission. Let's look at anyway, before we look at love, let me just give you an example. It's just like even in our corporate world, it's happening. You are at a school, there's a principal there or a headmaster, some choose to call them that way. He comes and says, now in this school, we as teachers, we must do this. Maybe it's even irrational, is even not making sense, but because of the office, he is a principal. As a subordinate, or as a, I will say, I choose to be quiet now because the boss has spoken. I choose, but at a time when it is convenient, I am going to discuss this. I choose to knock and say, excuse me, say this. You see, maybe we can have a meaningful, you see this principal saying, I'm very sorry, I was having problems at home, I did this. But when he comes and says, this school was supposed to do, then you say, no, who are you saying that? Which is what you find in families. Who are you? My husband, what does that mean? Who are you? Are you the one even buying food for the children? I am the one doing this. So now, we even do that in corporate world. For it to move, we respect, we choose to respect. Now, that does not mean that Ephesians talks about wives only, talks about husbands. Now, let's look at husbands. It says, husbands, love your wives. Let's look at that one. Love is a principle. It's a decision to say, even if now I found you very beautiful, attractive, so slim, but now you are so, because you are now getting old, maybe there's no another eye is not even there, but I choose to continue to love you. I choose. There was the word cherish that we said there. I choose to highly esteem, to highly regard. Peter on the other verse that we read, he says, honor you. I choose to honor you. Now, husbands are given instructions that are even dire there. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, that he even died for it. So, I sacrifice for my family. You know, the most important thing, especially for me, that I have, is my wife and my children. And I'm not even afraid to say my mother comes. I'm not saying mother is not important. They don't play, they don't compete with these people. But me and my wife, we are one and we go to my mother. So who is near me and my children. Therefore now, this is the most important. So all my resources, all my energy, all my money, the career that I'm doing it for her. Because it says, Christ, before the church was deep in sin, deep down in sin, Christ came. You see, when my wife is looking depressed, it's not even looking good, I go down and say, how do I look her good? How do I look her cheerful? How do I present her as without blemish? Where do I come in? So I provide, I do everything, I sacrifice. You see, even dying, I can die. Because when thieves break in my house, I must be on the front foot. I can throw myself on the bullet and save my wife, save my children. That's what he said. Saying, love your wife as you love your own body. You know, I've just discovered that because God did not give us the gift of, we are not all very handsome as we might say, or looking good, but even someone with some disfigurements on the face, but they also go in the mirror and try to say, you see, nobody has this. If they can say even that, my face is finished, but they still love it and try to polish it, you see. So that's the kind of stuff we should love, holds in. It is our first priority. Now, let me pose a question before we carry on further. So, who is to do more, the wife or the husband? My answer is simple. The husband is asked to do more, asked to sacrifice. To some of those people who also come, they say, you see, at a house, even if we have 2 cars, the husband must drive a newer car. The wife must drive a newer car. The wife, you must be the... If we have 2 slices of bread, our last slice of bread, these 2 must go to my wife and my children. I may die if we have last 2 slices of bread. If we are going to have... You get the point. So, who is supposed to do more? The husband and the wife. It is the husband. It's the one who must die, sacrifice, love, unconditionally, under whatever circumstances. So, how do we as women want to degrade or demean the usefulness of our husbands who were enthroned on that position by God, the Almighty, the infinite God, and we want to distort the usefulness of our husbands by trying to say we are equal, we can do the same thing. How can we then, you see, so what are we fighting for? Well, my monies, my resources, my everything, my energies are directed towards my wife and family. So what are we fighting for? Well, where is the problem? Where is the contestation in the families? Now, these events, love and submission, are not mutually exclusive. The wife can decide to submit while the husband is not doing his duties as Christ instructed. Also, the husband may choose to love while the wife is not submitting as life instructed. But let's look at the ideal. When the wife comes in and the husband comes in and we do, all of us do as Christ instructed, where is the problem? Where is our issues? Where is our contestations? I think we are taking the ideologies that are coming from the world, not from the Bible. When we live this way, even our children, they are going to be happiest children. We are going to produce children that also aspire to be married, aspire to inspire hope in their own children, and we reduce what we have been doing. But now, let me just go and conclude this caption, which I think to me is very paramount and is very critical. Now, wives submit. Remember in verse 21 we said, submit ye to one another. It does not necessarily mean that husbands do not submit. The instruction is being given to wives, because wives are the ones that have a problem in submission. Husbands don't have a problem. That's why they are not instructed. You say, come on, is it true? Yes. Let's even get back to the Garden of Eden. We see Eve not submitting, not even consulting Adam, and sin came. Let's look at Sarah and Abraham. We see Sarah even deciding to take the role and say, no, let's do this in our family. And we see Abraham getting in a sin that we cannot even correct now. We see even Job's wife. We are going to look at this on a separate. Anyway, let me promise that let's make this our second lecture. But let me look at this. Let's look at Samson, even Samson, a great giant of Israel. God said Israel will be set free through Samson. He fell in the hands of Delilah. So who is a man that can resist a wife? Not another man. Because if we are men to men, then it doesn't make sense. Who is a man that can resist a wife who comes who is feminine, with this little voice and this massage and brings this and brings this? That's why even our husbands are living their feminist double-story houses, live there Because there is an issue of us being equal. They move, they go to a mkuku somewhere there, and gets to a wife who says welcome and massages and say, Daddy, what do you want? I will cook for you, I will do this. Who is the man that can resist them? So men are easy to yield. They can yield themselves, they can yield their salaries, they can yield their time to a lovely and feminine wife. But that's why I'm talking of rebellious wives. Wives will say, no, we can't submit. And it's through the Bible. And now we have this system, politicians, everybody. No, we are equal. You see. Now, let's look at the last one also. Husbands love your wives. Now, it is being instructed to husbands because husbands are the ones with the problem to love. Wives, there's no problem in loving. Wives love. Women love. When a woman says, I love you, she loves you. You can say, now, let's go to this. Let me give you, you can eat. She can even carry your children. She can even cook for you. She can even wash for you. She can even go with you. Let's move from this vicinity. Let's go to relocate. She can follow you. Let's relocate to America, miles away. Follow you, a stranger that she doesn't even know. Wives love. Women love. When they give you this body, when women opens this body for you, it means they have given their soul to you. And the problem with women is that they open all their soul and their heart to this abusive man, and then they are let down and they fall back. And then we have a negative picture about marriage. The people who don't love are husbands. And we will look at it even if we follow through the Bible. Husbands can do anything, they don't mind even having 4 wives. I don't know how they share. Women who are really women, who are really mothers, they don't have a heart for 2 men. But husbands can have a heart for 5, a heart for 6. They don't care. And they do this with this one, and then they come at home and say, how are you? They don't care. So, now we have a problem of husbands who don't love. Christ says, please, husbands, love. We have a problem of women who don't want to submit in this world. Christ says, please, women, submit. When we take these roles and merge them together in the plan of salvation, where is our problem in this home? Where is our problem in this family? Where will our kids have problems? No. So we are saying, let's get back to what Christ was. Remember the last verse says, I am talking of chemistry. I am talking of Christ and the church. When we know that our relationship in the home, our relationship in Ephesians chapter 5 is about salvation, is about showing the relationship between Christ and the church, we begin to choose to submit. We begin to choose to love. We begin to choose to sacrifice. We begin to choose to bound each other's wounds. We begin to choose to be salvific to our own children, salvific to our neighbors, salvific to our churches, salvific to the nation. We begin to be a medicine that shows why God instituted an institution called marriage. Thank you for being with us. May you continue to follow us. May you like, comment, and share. Also, subscribe to Hope in the Wilderness channel as we continue to look into the mysteries of salvation. God bless you. Amen.